The mystery of the pyramids has finally been deciphered. With just a golden rod and tapping sounds, the Grand Pyramids were built. Moreover, Israeli soldiers used sound to destroy the indestructible walls of Jericho in just 7 days. So, does sound truly possess a miraculous form and energy?
Incantation to start the ancient airplane.
In the epic Ramayana, national treasure of India, in the 4th century AD, there is a description of an aerial chariot called Vimana, and its speed was not slow. According to the epic Ramayana, in a single day, it could fly from Sri Lanka to Ayodhya, located in present-day North India, a distance of approximately 2,110 kilometers. What is most astonishing is that the actual propulsion of the aircraft was an ancient magical chant. Can you believe it? When it's entirely controlled by just a magical chant. Perhaps because this explanation is hard for modern people to accept, everyone regards Ramayana as an ancient myth. However, recent research findings suggest that sound is not just a communication tool, but it also has uses beyond our imagination. In the 1960s of the 20th century, Swiss scientist Hans Jenny published a photo that shocked the world. In this experiment, Hans Jenny placed quartz sand on a 60 centimeters diameter metal plate attached to an oscillator, essentially a vibration machine. He then played music to make the metal plate vibrate. As a result, the quartz sand displayed various patterns. With low frequencies, the sand would form simple circles. As the frequency increased, the number of concentric circles would also increase. At that moment, he suddenly had the idea to produce a peculiar sound. He decided to chant the sound Om, the first word in the popular Buddhist mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, also known as the 6-syllable Great Brightness Mantra. He had read about this mantra in a book introducing Tibet and wanted to experiment with it. Indeed, a strange event occurred. The quartz crystals on the metal plate gradually formed an incredibly intricate image. This image left Hans utterly astonished, as it closely resembled the mandala symbol from the book he had just read. Mandala translates to complete circle. The essence of it is its infinite interwoven circles within, encompassing all the secrets of life and the universe. Mandala often appears in Tantric Buddhism and the secret Dharma of some ancient Indian religions. It represents a model of the universe and also symbolizes the energy operations of the practitioner. Hans's research paved the way for a new scientific field called cymatics. As people recognized the wonders of sound, a series of related experiments took place around the world.
Anti-gravity properties of sound.
There was a physicist named Angelo Esposito from Columbia University. One day, while tidying up in his laboratory, he absent-mindedly placed a ping-pong ball into the sound frequency machine beside him and turned it on. To his astonishment, he witnessed the ping-pong ball gradually rise and hover in midair. Angelo was delighted and quickly changed the sound frequency. He discovered that only with a specific frequency would the ball rise, and different frequencies made the ball rise to different heights. In 2019, Angelo and his research team published an article stating that sound, like light, also possesses wave-particle duality. The quantum of light is the photon, while the quantum of sound is the phonon. Phonons have mass, but not in the conventional sense. When subjected to gravitational forces, they move in the opposite direction. Therefore, it can be said that phonons possess negative mass and exhibit anti-gravitational properties. In other words, when affected by gravity, they don't fall down but instead rise up. Here, it's important to emphasize the concept of anti-gravity. Until now, Angelo's research team has only been able to use sound to move objects with a small weight. However, it seems that the ancients achieved greater advancements than scientists today. In the 10th century, the Arab historian al-Masudi wrote a story about his visit to Egypt and hearing about an ancient secret.
Ancient Egyptian secrets. Al-Masudi wrote that the pyramids were constructed in a special way as follows. The builders first used magical papyrus paper, pressing it onto the four underside surfaces of the large stone block that needed to be moved. After that, they used a golden rod to tap on the stone block. The stone emitted a sound with a specific frequency, resulting in an astonishing spectacle. The stone gradually levitated, and when it reached a certain height, it stopped. Each massive block levitated and positioned itself as if soldiers were standing in a neat row. Throughout this process, the golden rod played the most crucial role.
Typically, the person holding the rod would arrange the stone blocks to levitate in front of themselves, and they would only stop once they had risen about 45 meters. You can imagine it's like us inspecting the conveyor belt of a production line to see if there are any messy spots, ensuring they operate smoothly. After that, the person with the stick continues to tap on the rocks, giving commands until they reach the desired position. At times, even one needs to tap continuously to adjust the position accurately. And finally, contributing to the construction of the magnificent pyramid. The person holding that stick is like a coordinator at a construction site, commanding the machinery, and similarly, like a conductor directing a symphony orchestra. This is vastly different from the image we often imagine. Slaves laboring under the scorching sun, being shouted at by overseers with whips, or they used levers, piled up soil to create slopes, all with the sole purpose of moving the blocks to construct the pyramid. The story is not at all fantastical if explained from the perspective of the recently emerging kymatics. Phonons, the quantum particles of sound, possess anti-gravity. They can not only make a ping-pong ball levitate, but also lift a large rock. The question is whether we can find the key to effectively harness this type of energy or not. If you still have doubts about this story, then taking notes in the following Old Testament will help reinforce the mystique of sound.
The trumpet sounded, demolishing the sturdy walls of Jericho.
Jericho was a strategically important location in Canaan. If measured by today's standards, the walls of this place were approximately 9 meters high and divided into 2 layers, one inside and one outside. Even if the outer wall was breached, breaking through the inner layer of fortifications required significant effort. Therefore, the city of Jericho, 3,000 years ago, was considered an impregnable fortress. So how did it end up being destroyed? In the Bible, it is written, "The soldiers of Israel went into battle, with the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant behind them." This is also the chest engraved with the 10 Commandments of the Lord. The specifications for the size and materials of the covenant box were made precisely according to God's instructions. In front of the group carrying the covenant box, there were 7 priests holding long trumpets, and they began to blow. All the troops slowly marched around the city walls. Throughout the process, they remained silent, with only the sound of the trumpets echoing, sometimes low and sometimes high. In front of this scene, the residents of Jericho didn't understand what was happening. After marching, the Israeli troops returned to their camp to rest. It could be considered that the day had come to an end, and there were no further activities. Attacking in such a manner from ancient times to the present, surely only the Israeli army does so. The people of Jericho at that time believed that if the Israelites weren't foolish, then they must be mad. Or perhaps it was some religious ritual of theirs before attacking the city. Because the people of Jericho did not understand the customs and beliefs of Israel, they simply heightened their guard. However, early the next morning, the Israelite soldiers appeared again. They slowly paraded with the priests, the Ark of the Covenant, and trumpets. The event repeated itself, and they circled just like the day before for the next 4 days. Before this strange and amusing act of the Israelites, the people of Jericho became increasingly indifferent. They believed that the Israelite army could not possibly attack their solid walls, and thought they were just putting on a show. On the 7th day, when the trumpet sound of the Israelite priests echoed from afar, the soldiers guarding the walls of Jericho woke up. They silently gave thanks and felt grateful, as it was the trumpets of the Israelites that had awakened them. The Jericho army awoke, but still felt drowsy, and silently thinking, "The Israelites are parading around again today." They watched the Israelite troops below the city walls. They looked around as if giving a loud greeting. But today is different, unlike the previous days. This time, the Israelite army marched around the city walls 7 times. After the trumpet sound of the priest echoed, suddenly, all the Israelite soldiers shouted together very loudly, The overwhelming sound wave made the people of Jericho's skin crawl. Immediately after, a massive sound surged from beneath the ground, resonating with the shout of the Israelites, producing a deafening roar. Suddenly, the invincible city wall was shattered and collapsed. This might be the only event in recorded history where shouting was used to bring down walls. On a history television program, they explained this millennia-old history as follows. On the armor of the priests, there were 12 gemstones. When chanting a spell, the sound waves combined with a special frequency of the gemstones would make them emit a beam of light. This light beam would then activate a mysterious mechanism inside the Ark of the Covenant, adjusting the sound frequency of the horn to amplify it. The role of the gemstones here corresponds to a specific sound frequency, similar to the mandala that we mentioned at the beginning of the video. And the gemstones here act as an intermediate switch, triggering the Covenant box. This box serves as a sound device, amplifying the sound, even though the wall material is very sturdy, and the frequency of the horn creates a resonance effect, causing the wall to collapse. So, in your opinion, is mandala truly the code to activate all energy sources? Please share your thoughts in the video's comment section. For now, goodbye, and see you in the next video.